Hello, Jimmy.
How are you?
What do you got going? You okay? What are you doing?
I'm trying to find a way to make a phone stand, but sometimes when I do this, it messes with the audio. So you got to let me know.
Yeah, we can't do that. Well,
can you hear me?
Oh, you sound great. Thanks for doing this, dude.
Of course. Love talking baseball. Made a whole show about it.
Yeah. Where does that air? I haven't heard about it.
Hour and a half talking baseball.
Oh, great. Okay.
Yeah.
It's only the #1 podcast we got going in the sport, so people might want to tune in. So there you go. I also want to remind people that today's Instagram Live is presented to you by foco.com/Jomboy. Use the keyword Jomboy15 to get 15% off your first order. You get really cool shirts like I've got this, the Fandemic Crew. You could get the cool straw hat that the Yankees haven't been using like a home run celebration like the Phillies have. But that's it's
a Phillies hat only.
Yeah. I like that look on you, though. I like it turned up. That's good.
Yeah, look. I feel like I need to do this tight, too, and then I'm there.
Yes. Well, don't tighten it too much because then your head might actually pop off. So let's okay. All right, let's start talking a little bit of baseball. Let's start with the trade market. Only 5 shopping days left out there, and Adam Frazier, the Major League hits leader, is on his way from Pittsburgh to San Diego for 3 minor leaguers, 3 prospects. Okay, so now you look at this lineup and you say to yourself, are there too many everyday position players of starting caliber on the Padres team with the addition of Frazier?
No, there's never too many of that because as much as you don't want to say it, injuries happen and slumps happen. It's going to be hard for them to navigate because I do believe that teams and players need a routine. Like you need to know when you're playing and where you're playing, something my Yankees struggle with. And I ask Plouffe all the time, I'm like, isn't it good to know, like, you're in the 3-hole and you're playing third every day and you don't have to think about it? And he says, yes. He's like, yeah, that is huge. And, I mean, every successful business person says, yes, it's like kind of decision fatigue and you just need to know where. So they need to set a pattern of sorts or hope something happens that it's not like, hey, Crone, you're playing first today. Oh, you're playing second today. Or Reynolds can play left field, but then you have to shift a lot. So I hope they have a formula that they tell the team and say, if it's this, it's this. If it's this, it's this. So there's some consistency in their mindset. But no, never a bad thing to have too many players, especially come postseason. And I love the balance they have now. I mean,
they do.
It's right, left, right, left, right, left, switch.
Okay, so a few things here. The way I wrote it down, you've got 6 guys that are penciled into the lineup every day, in my opinion. It's Tatis, Machado, Grisham. I love his defense. I love his versatility in center. Cronenworth, Frazier, and whomever is catching. So that means in the National League with no DH, you have 2 open spots for Pham, Hosmer, Myers, and Profar. Now, these are guys that have all been consistent starters throughout their career, maybe with the exception of Profar, who's kind of been moving around a little bit. So you have to explain to those guys. This is on Jason Tingler, right? To be able to sit down with those guys and explain how he's going to get enough at-bats. That's the big thing here. Now, I know I just read a Ken Rosenthal column that said Hosmer's on the trade block. Profar might be there as well. If that happens, then it kind of loosens things up a little bit. But to me, you got to have a guy like Tommy Pham in the lineup. I love the energy he brings. I love his mentality.
He's having a good year.
Yeah, so
Hosmer's the tough one. I don't know how they're going to trade him. They have to eat a ton of money, and I don't know why you trade him. I mean, if anything, you say, Hos, we need you to be a bench piece the rest of the way, or we need you to be a platoon guy. And he's got 5 years, and he's got a lot of money, and like next year we'll see what happens. It's not like he's going to wean off playing time. There's injuries, and there's tons of stuff that happens throughout a season, but he also – Hosmer's like on a heater right now. He's having a hell of a July. So I will see how they navigate. I think another guy might be on the move, but not a bad thing to have a lot of good players. They got 4 all-stars in the infield now.
Right. But to me, though, the thing is that Frazier's a Gold Glove caliber second baseman. I know Cronenworth's been fantastic. I love his athleticism there. But, man, I don't know if I want to move Frazier to the outfield where he's not as good a player as he is at second base. It's just there's a lot of moving pieces that will actually make it fun down the stretch. Speaking of trades, and one that hasn't happened yet, but Andy Martino, who covers the Mets for SNY, said that the Mets and Nationals are talking about Max Scherzer. What percentage chance do you give Max Scherzer of landing in Queens by the end of the week?
20. Here's my
That's
thoughts
high.
on it. Here's my thoughts on it. Scherzer's owed $40 million this year, so prorated probably $20 million for 10 starts and playoff starts, right? You're playing $20 million for 10 starts and some playoff starts is what you'd have to pay if you take on the remainder of his contract this season.
Wait, is it? I always thought he got the deferred money. Didn't he sign the 7-year deal with Washington, but it was in reality a 15-year deal or something because he was accepting deferred payments?
Maybe. I just looked it up. He's owed $42 million, so I don't know how much the Mets would have to take on.
Let's just call 12 cents.
No money?
No,
my thoughts are this. If you're a Nationals fan, I do believe in being nice to your fans in a way. And Scherzer won a World Series there, and he's their guy, and the Mets are their rival. Now, from a Mets standpoint, you should overpay because DeGrom's future is in limbo. You have the division right now, and you have a really good vibe and just like atmosphere and culture, I think, on the field at least, for the first time, where it's new ownership and like, hey, maybe this is a new season. So and I think you can overpay if you're the Mets. But if you're the Nationals, you have to make them overpay with prospect capital, not just money. So I don't know. That's why I thought the Mets would have to take on a lot of money, and therefore the capitals would be lower. And true half-season rentals are never that crazy of prospect capital deals. So I thought I think for the Nationals, like it's almost rude to your fan to trade him as a rental to a division rival when you're not going to get the number one of their prospects or even a top 5 probably because it's 10 starts. So if they can get a huge overpay for the Mets, and I think the Mets may be willing, I'd do it, but I wouldn't do it.
Except that at the end of the year, Max Scherzer's a free agent, right? And by the way, if he's happy in Washington, he could go back. And let's remember the most important part of this puzzle. He has to agree to a trade.
Yeah.
He has to agree to a trade. So he's not just going to go anywhere. And people are like, well, he'll definitely go to St. Louis because that's where he's from. Max Scherzer reads the standings too, guys.
Yeah, he wants to go to a
win.
win.
Available to his eyes as well. I don't think he's going to St. Louis just because he wanted to go pitch a few games by the team that originally drafted him. You know,
he might not want to go anywhere. I mean, he's got a ring.
He told me this on the Rose rotation because I asked him a couple months ago. I said, you want to win with the Nationals, but if things go sideways, would you consider waiving your no trade? And he goes, man. And I said, have you brought it up to your wife? Because they just had their 3rd child. He said, I can't even go there. He said, we're overwhelmed. We've got 3 young kids that are under 5. We got a lot going on here.
Yeah.
And people forget that part of it too.
We saw Adam Jones say, I'm staying in Baltimore. I've earned the right to say no to this. And I don't want to move my whole family. So he may not even want to go. But if I was the Nets, I'd make the Mets. If it's the Mets, I'd make them overpay. If it's, if it's another NL team, Brewers, any of the West Coast teams, then, and Scherzer wants to go, find a deal find the best deal. But division rival in the same neighborhood, I wouldn't do it. I would make the Mets send a big prospect.
All right, good call. You mentioned the Brewers, by the way. They just took the weekend series from the Chicago White Sox. In your opinion right now, where are the Brewers in the NL hierarchy? Where do you rank them?
4th.
Behind all the NL West teams?
Yeah, and the reason why, those NL West teams have been playing each other all season, and the whole nation has been tuning in for these games because they feel like playoff games. They're going to the 8th. They're going to the 9th. Those 3 teams are going to be pretty tested in high leverage, crazy intense, back and forth battles where it's your best versus our best. And the Brewers haven't been doing that all season. But I love their pitching. I love their makeup as a team. I actually like their makeup better than the Padres because I like their starting pitching better. I like their bullpen better. And that, I think, is the biggest thing. It's all about timely hits. No one wins every World Series game 15-2 or 15-10. It's all about pitching and timely hits. But they just haven't been as tested as those 3 teams.
They also haven't been as good offensively. And that's a major problem because if you were to look at all the pitching staffs around baseball, the way they're put together, top-heavy in the front of the rotation and dominant at the back end once Williams comes back from his injury. Like, they're probably the best baseball team to win short series, pitching-wise. The bats scare the hell out of me. They really do. For whatever reason, Christian Yelich has not rebounded to his 2019 form at all. So now that leaves you with your most ferocious bats in the lineup are Adames, Wong. Like,
I think they'll get some. It's a nice place to be trading for bats when everyone else is trading for wants arms. So
they have to, though. They have got to get at least one impact bat this week. Okay.
Yeah.
So. And I would rank them. Here's where I would rank them. I would rank them third. I think I'm actually going to rank them ahead of one of the wild card teams from the NL West. I just can't figure out which one that's going to be yet.
Fair.
So, okay. I'm going to leave it.
That's fair.
All right. Boston. Oh, God, do I have to bring this up?
It's all good. I did therapy on Talking Yanks yesterday.
Good. All right, Boston won 3-4 from your guys, even though Herman took a no-hitter into the 8th inning. You guys blew a 4-0 lead. I had to get that out there. Sorry, boss.
It's all good.
With all that being said, we saw a really interesting piece of video with Alex Cora putting his arm around Kevin Plawecki and getting in his face before he was pinch hitting and then drove in the tying run in the 8th inning. In your opinion, is the biggest difference between these two teams in the dugout at manager?
I don't like saying just manager, but it's at decision makers. So if it's one person, if it's a group of people, let's be honest, we don't know. I think it's more than just one person. But, yeah, I mean, the Red Sox, I made a whole rant on it. I'm jealous of every way they run their club. They have consistency. They're 1 through 4 is every day, like I was saying. They show up, they know. I'm 1, you're 2, he's 3, I'm 4, you're 5. And Cora makes the right moves. He's not scared to make the right moves. Like, he brought in that pitcher, I forget his name, Yaxel, I think, Rios. He hit a guy and walked the bases loaded, walked and hit the bases loaded. They only had a lefty up in the bullpen, and Giancarlo Stanza, who's the best hitter against lefties of his lifetime, of like all baseball, his stats against lefties, like the best against lefties. And Cora said, fuck it. I need to bring that guy in. I don't care if he's a lefty. This guy clearly has nothing. And made the switch, even though it wasn't beneficial. Boone had the same exact situation an inning later where it's clear Loaizaga has nothing. 3 batters, 3 hits, 7 pitches, 3 hits. He only has a lefty up. And they have a righty in the box. And he doesn't make the move. He doesn't bring Britton in. He leaves Loaizaga in for righty versus righty. And it's another hit. And then he brings – it's the worst managing I've seen. I rarely ever call out managing decisions because I think it's always just, you're just nitpicking and you're playing based on results. But there was that move, and even Boone second-guessed himself in his post-game press conference the whole time. It was like, you didn't think, man. Like, I don't think you activated your brain during all of this.
Wow.
Not having the infield in for a contact pitcher and the runner on third with no double play. Why would you have the middle infield in? One. And Boone even said, like, yeah, thinking back, I probably should have had the infield in. It's like, oh.
So a few things here real quickly because we do have to move on. I said this last week about closers. I'll say the same thing about managers. Most baseball fans can't stand their strategist in the dugout. They just can't. Like, if you were to say, are you happy with the way that your manager manages your team during a baseball game? Most fans would say no. They just wouldn't be happy about it. With that being said, I think Alex Cora is a rarity. I think A.J. Hinch is a rarity. I think that Terry Francona has become a very good in-game manager. With the exception of that, there aren't a ton of guys where you're like, boy, that was right on point. Right on point. So,
yeah.
Alex Cora, in my opinion, can write his own check in Boston. I love the way he motivates his guys. People can say, oh, well, I'm going to take him back to the 2019 when he was coaching, or 2017 when he was coaching the Astros. That's fine. You can do that. If you're talking about right now, after coming back from the suspension, if I'm having a fantasy draft for managers, I'm taking him number 1.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to disagree with it. He's got one World Series. We'll get a couple more, but yeah, he's good. And I tried to read the lips on what he was saying to Plawecki, and I think because Britton's a sinker ball pitcher, I think he was giving him the old knuckleball advice: if it's low, let it go; if it's high, put it in play. Because he says like you can read low and high when he's talking, and I think that's what he's saying. Like we just need contact here. Runners on third, he just put it in play. So he knew, but Boone and them didn't.
All right, last one. One amazing defensive play this weekend with George Springer making that diving play at Citi Field. Was that more eye-opening than the Ramon Laureano attempted catch in Seattle where he hung on the wall, didn't quite get it?
Eye-opening is the term here that I'll respond to because I think Laureano's was more eye-opening. I think if you show that to a fan that doesn't watch baseball at all, their eyes would be like, wait, what? Can you do that? That's legal? Right. Whereas the Springer play is just really, really good. And sometimes with diving plays, some of them are a product of a bad jump or a misread. So you have to make up for it, but it still looks spectacular. This wasn't. George Springer got a great beat on that ball. Yep. Every step was in the right direction. And I think, he did every single thing right to make that play. It was just barely in his reach and he got to it. But Laureano is kind of fun. I mean, that's straight out of a movie.
I loved it because he was hanging on the wall, it felt like, for 5 seconds. And he came this close to catching it, and I thought it was awesome. I'm a Laureano guy.
Sneaky impressive. Me too. He gave me his batting gloves once. We met him at the same time.
Yeah,
The Easton event. Sneaky impressive part about it is Laureano fights the urge to slam his glove on the ground after missing it. You can see him wind up, and then he stops and he pauses, and it's good discipline. I would have spiked it.
All right, what do you have coming up on Jomboy Media today? What's on the docket?
We have Talking Baseball today at we try to go at noon. I think we're always at like 12:30 because we're always late. And then let me see. I got my big calendar over here. No, Jake's going on vacation this week as well. So we're doing we do watch-ins where we watch commercials or old game shows or play video games. So we're filming some of those. And then I am super behind on breakdowns. So
sorry.
Yeah. I don't have an office at my new house yet, so I don't have an area to make them.
This is a very busy time for you. Don't worry, the baby's a few months away. You'll be fine. And I'm joining you tomorrow, taping tomorrow's Talking Baseball for Wednesday.
For Wednesday, yes.
Right. Yes. At 2 o'clock Eastern, right? I put it in the calendar, right?
2 o'clock Eastern, yes. We do Talking Yanks at noon and then Talking Baseball at 2.
Well, normally, and I texted you this weekend, that Rose Rotation would be coming out. You would have had a new episode to digest today. We had to push it a little bit because of a scheduling shoot with Dom Smith. So it's going to be Trevor May and Dom Smith. That's why I've got the Mets hat over the shoulder there. So that's going to be coming out tomorrow. And then on Thursday, Lucas Giolito comes out as he gets ready to do the Field of Dreams game against the New York Yankees. So I got a lot of fun stuff. And then tomorrow we have – I appreciate you filling in today for Plouffe. The guy – he lets me know on Saturday, like, I've got an emergency. I'm like, what's the emergency? I'm going to Cabo.
Yeah, big emergency.
That's a real emergency there, pal. So I have another special guest filling in tomorrow. It's a big-time surprise. That's all I can tell you.
Ooh, okay.
Non-Jomboy Media employee.
Wow. Okay. I'll tune in. I'm excited.
Yes. And finally, a lot of people have been asking me what hat I'm wearing in the chat. This is the Kalamazoo Growlers. They're a summer college baseball team. We'll leave the link in our YouTube channel. And also, they've got the Mac Daddies program there as well. I kind of like this. Look at this. What do you have working?
I have Hudson Valley Renegades and Gwinnett Stripers.
Nice. Do you like this, though? This is the Mac Daddies. Have you ever seen a piece of mac and cheese carrying a fork?
No, that's good. I like how it's melting a little bit, too.
Isn't that kind of taking a weapon to your own death?
A little bit, like hand it over and eat me. Some people, whenever I do like Q&As, people, it's like, is a hot dog a sandwich or
right,
whatever. People always ask mac and cheese, fork or knife, too. But it's fork.
Wait, fork or spoon?
Fork or spoon, yeah.
Well, what do you do?
Fork.
Yeah, that's not even a question.
I know. That's what I'm always like, why is it, who uses a spoon?
I don't know. That's
weird. People always ask that when I get it. So,
got it. Jimmy, it was great catching up, man. Good stuff today.
You as well. The gif of you at the home run derby going glove to face and the hat flies off the back. I need to make it into a gif because it's.
Yeah, we do. We need to get that one out. That's out. People are enjoying that, right?
Yeah. That's on the main channel right now, us at the Home Run Derby, which is just us having a blast.
Yes. And then when's lawn games come out?
Zach, today, Monday is weekly dumb day. Zach, Jake and I sit in the room for 15 minutes, record it. He spends the next 12 hours editing it. And then tomorrow he'll start the lawn games. So Mondays are Zach's hell day. Everyone praise Zach.
Dude, don't forget, we got Blitzball out there. We got our Home Run Derby and then lawn games coming out. A lot of good content we had so much fun out there, man. I'm still paying for it.
Yeah. Someone is trying to say it's pronounced GIF, not GIF. And it is pronounced GIF if you're a loser.
Wow.
I mean, if you just want to go around being soft, you can call it a GIF, but it's a GIF.
That's from Jimmy, guys. That's from the guy right there. That's from the top man. All right, dude. Have a great day. Stay out of trouble, all right?
You as well. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks, bud.